So we have a Drive Fast, Don't Die, Live Free Edition Mustang. I can only handle so much rust in my life. Woo! She shot the tuner from American Muscle. I think it's the handheld, and then we'll put the tune on. And then we got an Exetti racing clutch. We got some long tubes.
I would say he's replacing this just in time.
All right, guys, Rusty has the chain set up, so he decided to bolt it to the head here.
And it looks like we need some ball joints in here too. Yeesh.
Woo, there we go.
Jeez, it's broken.
Oh, it is broken. We should collect as much rust as we can, put it in a bag, and see how much it weighs. Are we charging for weight reduction or no?
It's on the house.
On the house. All right, guys, welcome back. So today on Modern Masters Auto, we are putting the Mustang back together. And to do that, we have a brand new set of BBK long tube headers with new gasket set, new hardware, and then we're putting in our new Exetti clutch, throw-off bearing, and then we're gonna get this thing ready to go. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, and welcome back. So me and Rusty went ahead and got a little ahead of ourselves here. We jacked up the engine table. We have it set. We have the subframe lined up on the engine table. We unbolted the rack and separated it from the subframe, and it's zip tied to the sway bar, which is going to stay with the chassis as we lower the subframe. Rusty got the bolts out of here. But as I previously showed you before, the springs are broken on both sides. I'll show you that. See, as you can see here, the springs are broken. Both of them on each side. I thought it was just one, but as you can see, they're both broken. So we found that out, and then we started to remove the subframe bolts. We took the subframe bolts from the back right here on either side. We removed them, and now on this side, we have the bolts completely removed, holding the subframe. So this side of the subframe is completely loose. As you can see, it's separated. And Rusty is working on the other side. He has his trusty step ladder, the most important tool in the shop. And now he's removing this side of the subframe bolts. This is how we're supporting the engine. So we have the engine support bar up top holding it. So that is our dead man, that is our engine jack. There's all kinds of names that they call this thing, a jack stand. What do you guys call it in your neck of the woods? I like to call it a dead man because it's like having a guy there to help you out and he's just not alive. So he's a dead man. You know, we'll say he is a stand-up guy. Stand-up guy, look at that. Get it? Because he's standing up.
Last bolt holding the K member.
Oh boy, that's dust in my face. I can taste it. I can taste it. That was the last subframe bolt, right?
Correct.
You just got to jack the engine up a little bit?
We should be good.
Okay.
Just got to make sure our table doesn't hit our dead man coming down, but so I'll stand back here while you do it.
Beep, beep, beep. Are you watching the back?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Beep, beep. Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, I'm good back here. You can.
Okay. This thing is fast, guys. This thing. Look at that. Woo, she is fast.
Fastest lift this side of Mississippi.
Yep, easily. Let's get up in there and take a look-see. All right, guys, look at those rinky-dink manifolds. All right, guys, we're gonna take the manifold bolts out on this side. Ciao, sweet. All right, let's do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 6.
Ooh, crap. I gotta tighten that back up.
Why? Oh, you gotta bust the EGR loose.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's always one.
It broke. I knew that's why I wanted to check them all. Damn. I'll say 1 out of 18 or 20. How many's in each side?
2. There's 8 in each side.
So 16. 1 out of 16.
Yeah.
Those numbers aren't bad.
Yeah.
We'll take it. He'll get that out easily, but this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I actually have to leave now. I decided I get to go with Elon Musk to Mars, so it was nice seeing you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Back to work.
All right guys, and while we have the transmission out, I did recommend to the customer that while it's out of the car to go ahead and replace this throwout bearing sleeve. It is the sleeve that the throwout bearing rides on whenever you push the clutch in or out. And over time, it gets a lot of buildup of rust. You can hear it squeaking there. It sounds like a turkey call. And that shaft will eventually end up breaking. So what we did was we're going to upgrade it with this billet throwout bearing sleeve, so we'll never have that problem again. I had the same problem on my Mustang years ago, driving along down the road, and that shaft broke and rattled along in there. It made a terrible noise, but luckily these are pretty easy to work on. So we'll start by taking the shift fork out of here. There we go. And you can see all the rust that's built up on that sleeve. So that throwout bearing was definitely not moving freely, and that sleeve would have eventually broken off of there. And while we're in here, we're going to go ahead and lubricate this pivot point here, and we're going to inspect our shift fork just to make sure there's no cracks, anything like that, because what happens is the throwout bearing ends up getting stuck on that sleeve, puts more pressure onto the shift fork, and it can bend it, make it crack in places, but looks like we're in good shape to continue. We also have a new OEM Ford throwout bearing. Let's see if we can get you the part number here. Part number for the throwout bearing. I do not have a part number for this, but these are easily ordered from any Ford or Mustang performance website. Very common these days. All right, so all we gotta do is unbolt the belt housing. This is going to pull forward, and then we can press out. And even though we did drain the transmission, there's always a little extra. It's gonna come out. Pry this side here. Pop. Needs a little more persuasion. Judo chop. This seemed to have no effect at all whatsoever. All right, once you have that separated a little bit, it should be good to remove this. Different models vary. The instructions will say that you have to remove the tail shaft and the shifter assembly and all that to get this bell housing off, because as you can see, it's kind of stuck right here. But if I remember correctly, on my old Mustang, I think I was able to cheat it by taking out these covers here, which takes the pressure off of the detent springs inside of here. And that will let you take the bell housing off without taking the entire tail shaft off of there. So let's see if my memory is correct. Yes. Be careful that none of the balls fall out of here. We're gonna keep that over here safely out of the way. It's pretty bad. I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday, but it's been at least 10 years since I've done one of these transmissions, and somehow I remember that little trick. All right, everything looks good in here. A lot of people are really crazy about the shaft play on these, but a little bit of shaft play is completely normal. Too tight is worse than anything. But these rarely ever have any problems unless you're making big power. So I'm going to see if I can get the balls, the little check balls, out of the side of this bell housing before I end up losing them. I think they're okay. So I don't lose any of the springs, I'll just cap these in here and kind of trap them in there so they can't go anywhere. And just in case you were wondering what these little balls do, they're spring loaded and they ride against these shafts here. So whenever you click the car, click the transmission into gear, out of gear, and move everything, that's what gives you that sensation of the locking and the noises whenever you shift gears. So if we were missing these, it'd just be flopping all over the place and probably pop out of gear and everything else. And here is our input shaft seal. So we're gonna be popping that out of there. I do have a new one, and we're going to press out that sleeve from the inside. All right, there's our seal. And I do have to remove this race inside of here for the input shaft bearing, but it's not press fit or anything like that. It literally just slides in here. Might need a little bit of leverage to get it from and there's a little shim behind here, so definitely keep that safe with the bearing. And the safest place for anything is to never hand it to me, because I will definitely lose it within the first 30 seconds. All right, we're gonna flip this over and give this shaft a couple smacks with our dead blow. Okay, so I hit a little bit of a snag here. I looked and looked and looked, and I was looking in here to see where the seam would be for this to press out. And because I know on mine, I just hit it with a hammer, and this was easily came out, popped in and out. But this is all one piece. I didn't want to break anything. So I did a little bit of research, and apparently some different years and models came with this bell housing that this sleeve is actually cast into the bell housing itself. So this is not serviceable. So I think this engine and trans have been replaced. I saw some signs on the engine that kind of made me think maybe this is not the original engine. There's some marks on there, but even like these marks here, the marker mark there is typical of something you see from a junkyard. So I'm wondering whether or not this transmission has been replaced with one out of maybe like a 5-speed Ford Ranger or something like that, close to the same year, and that's why we're running into this bell housing here with this not being able to be changed. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this input shaft seal while this is apart. And I'll go ahead and polish this up with a wire wheel just so the throw-up bearing won't catch on there anymore. Clean all that rust off of there, lube everything appropriately, and put it back together. So not a huge deal. I'm guessing these cast ones don't have the issue where they break. So, but oh well, would have been nice to have that nice new shiny billet piece in there. And if you look in here, you can really see where that bearing's just been chattering on here. So it's pretty smooth to the touch. I don't think it's gonna cause the customer any issues like that. I'm gonna polish it a little bit more, but I really wish I could have been able to replace that just so you never have to worry about it again. We can at least take this opportunity to clean things up in here, and at least we know that the inside of the transmission's in great shape. Now we can apply the right stuff. Bearing races are going back in. New seal. I almost forgot the most important part of this entire project, dielectric grease. So we'll grease up that seal and reinstall. Now we can take our plugs out again to leave room for these little plungers to move back and forth. Let's see if I can push them out of the way. And now we just reinstall the bell housing. Be careful not to tear our nice new input shaft seal. All right, I'll go ahead and put one bolt in there just to help hold it together while I put the springs back in. All right, make sure you have all 3 springs so none of them fell out. Put your caps back on. Now all we gotta do is throw our bell housing bolts back in there. Now lubricate our pivot points and our clutch fork, replace that throw-up bearing, and this transmission is good to go. So I got it super hot and I was pulling away at it, and I was pulling so hard I'm worried that I'm gonna end up slipping the engine off of my jack stand here. So I'm gonna try to heat it up again and hit it with an air hammer to see if I can get it to move. Oh yeah, she's moving now. Once I got it broken loose with some heat and my air hammer, I was able to spray some penetrating oil in there. Once I got it broken loose to lubricate the rest of the way out. So it seems to be moving pretty good right now. Try to get it out the rest of the way. And sometimes when you have something like this that's really seized on here, it would actually help to heat it up as hot as you can and then let it cool down completely. And what that does is it makes the nut expand and then it contracts at it cools down at a different rate of speed than the other end of the nut or the threaded part. And if it's rusted and seized shut, sometimes it'll crack, but just because of the 2 opposing sides heating and cooling at different rates. When I first started out my automotive career, I worked at an exhaust shop for about 6 years or so, and most of the guys that I was working with when I was 21, 22, they were in their 50s and been doing this kind of stuff for 30 years. So I learned a lot of really cool tricks with exhaust and broken bolts and everything. A lot of people say, oh, I'm so worried that these bolts are gonna break, but it doesn't really faze me much because I know how to get them out really quick. Okay, EGR tube is removed. Now we can take these bolts back out. Okay, so we got really lucky this time. I've done like Crown Vics and other Mustangs before, just replacing manifold gaskets, and I've had every single one of these break on me. We got really lucky. It's just this very last one. He's broken up inside of there, but I should be able to get that out of there relatively easy and get a new stud kit coming for that thing, so this is all fresh. So we're gonna start off by getting our center punch as close to the center as we can. And I like these spring-loaded ones. Just try to get a little mark in there in the center. This one's getting a little old, so the spring is getting a little weak. Doesn't work quite as good as it used to. And if our luck continues, this reverse drill bit will grab this and extract it the rest of the way. I probably could have got that out if I would have kept trying with the drill bit to get it out of there, but it doesn't come out pretty easily. I typically just jump straight to the welder. So we're gonna fill this with weld and leave us a little spot in the end. And you don't have to worry about the weld messing up the threads in the cylinder head or anything like that, because the cylinder head's aluminum and it won't weld or stick to it or anything. So really good trick. The heat also helps it come out. And then you just grab a nut and something to hold the nut. Once that cools down for a minute, it'll probably come right out of there. It's been a minute or so. I'd say it's cooled down enough. We're just gonna spin that right out of there. If yours is really corroded and seized, what you wanna do is just wanna slowly work it back and forth like that to get it out. Sometimes if they're really stuck in there, you'll have to weld a couple nuts on there as they break off. Then drilling a hole through the center of it does help that weld penetrate down through the center of the bolt to give it more grip. But this one was already starting to get loose. And it's literally only been like a minute or two, and it's already cool to touch. But there you have it, success. We're gonna grab our green disc that will not damage the cylinder head. We're gonna clean the surface up. All right, looking pretty clean to me. Let's see if I can grab these new gaskets, start mounting these long tubes on here. All right, so I got some new hardware, all new studs and nuts. I'm replacing both sides. This guy right here, unfortunately, is really seized in there. I even tried to get my extractor tool in there, fought it. I'm worried it's gonna end up either stripping or breaking off the side of there, but the threads are fine. It's in good shape. It's perfectly fine to reuse that one. So to save some time, I'm just gonna replace the ones that came out and keep on moving.
All right, guys, so while our subframe is on the table and still some of my lunch from Jersey Mike's, not feeling too good today, me or Rusty, so couldn't even eat it all. But you can see the rust here and here, just debris. There's some gravel, some stuff all in this bad boy. We are going to go ahead and vacuum it all out and try to pry out the lower broken springs that's stuck on each side and clean this bad boy up a little bit. Shoot, that guy is really frozen in there. All right, guys, Rusty got that out of there for me. So look at that. We can play horseshoes with this. Come on.
Good thing I got that tetanus shot early on in this video.
Nice. And that's how you do it. Now I have two horseshoes. All right, Rusty has the old springs broken out of the control arms of the subframe. So now we can clean this bad boy up and get her nice and mint. And as you guys saw in the previous video, the springs were broken at the bottom here and looking really rough. We did contact the customer and he is finding us new springs. All right, guys, Rusty laid out all our parts. We have the BBK new manifold gaskets. We have our new Exetti Stage 2 clutch. We have the new Ford Performance throwout bearing, and Rusty swears by these. Do not use an aftermarket one. They're known to make noise. He's went through it himself years ago, but the Ford ones are quality. They're just what you need. It's OEM manufacturers. So use the OEM one to keep the noise down from inside the transmission. And we got a new pilot bearing. And then of course, our beautiful new BBK long tubes. Look at that. That is what it's about, people. That is beautiful. And of course, they have their nice branding right there. Check that out. And it will hook back into the factory EGR, so we won't have to worry with any of that. And we're ready to put all this in. And Rusty cleaned up our exhaust mating surface right here and put in new studs. Looking good, looking good. And look at this flywheel. So this is before, And Rusty's about to give it the once over and make this thing shine and ready for our new parts.
Okay, so I haven't done this in a while. It's a really neat trick that I learned a long time ago. You don't need any special tools, anything like that, because these can be a pain. You just find the biggest nut you have with a matching bolt that will fit inside of this hole, and you're going to have it hook down inside of there, and then you'll put a screwdriver in to hold the nut from spinning. So you'll get it tight, and what's happening is you're holding the nut against the pilot bearing, and the bolt is going to push on the end of the crankshaft, and that's going to force that pilot bearing out of there. You just gotta make sure you hold constant pressure.
So that's the screwdriver's holding the nut.
Yeah, the screwdriver holds the nut from spinning, and then the bolt is just pressing against the back of the crank, and then the nut will eventually force the pilot bearing out. But I might have to go get a longer nut.
2 very boring minutes later.
All right, guys, so I was getting frustrated trying to find a nut that would grab and be the right size and all this and that, and as luck would have it, the tool truck pulled it outside, so I went outside and got a tool and brought it in, and Craig proceeded to make fun of me that I wasted money on a tool he thinks isn't gonna work. But hopefully he is not right like he usually is. So let's try this out. All right, slide hammer. This will spread it apart on the side of there. All right. Voila. All right, to put it in, I just find a socket that matches up with the outer race here so it won't damage the bearing on the inside. We're gonna line that up just the way it came out. Once you hear that tone change, you know it's buttoned out the entire way, and we're good to continue.
All right, Rusty has our new pilot bearing, and our tool goes in there. Perfect, listen to that. Perfect. We're gonna set our clutch disc up here, get it lined up. Hold up. Oh, very nice. Here, hand me one. You want the spring surface to be facing out, so when the throw-up bearing pushes on here, it engages the springs, pushes the clutch disc in. All right, what's the torque spec?
I'm just loosening them all just a little bit because I snugged them all up a little bit.
Okay, and then what is the torque spec?
It's 33 foot-pounds and then a 60-degree turn.
All right, guys, then once they're snug, 33 foot-pounds, and then a 60-degree turn.
Now we'll do our 60-degree turns. You're all set.
All right, guys, now that the pressure plate is fully torqued, we can remove our clutch alignment tool. And you can see that bad boy is perfectly lined up. Looking good, looking good. Now it's time to move on to our long tube headers. All right, guys, we are gonna have to take this bolt out, remove the dipstick, because the exhaust and the gasket is one single piece, and then we have to reinstall the dipstick after that. All right, guys, I'm waiting for Rusty to get the dipstick out of the way of the other side. I'm gonna throw the gasket on this side, because there's nothing stopping me. Nice. All right. As you guys can see, I have tons of room to play with. Just kidding.
Here, hold it.
Yeah?
I think I'm gonna take off this bottom one here. We'll be good.
Bottom what?
Stud, and then put it back in once it's on there.
Oh, you think that's what it's hitting?
It's too close to the AC compressor.
Ah, gotcha.
I don't know what we have exactly, but it's got us pretty good.
When you have a lung disease like me, and you're just a generally weak person like Rusty, now Rusty barely ever gets sick, like once a year. I get sick like once a month, unfortunately.
And I'm still at work.
And we're still here. Oh yeah, so close.
Was that the ticket right there?
That was close, yeah. It's close. Jacked up too high.
Now I got a jack too high. I think I need to tap that with a dead blow. I'll be done with it.
Yeah.
Tap, tap, taparoo. There you go.
There it is.
It's like that episode of Hot Rod, like the movie Hot Rod, where he's just in the engine, in the garage, just beating the engine with a hammer.
Yeah.
He was putting long tubes on.
Whatever the butter clay coating is on this is very nice. Honestly, it's like they melted a crayon onto it. Probably this freaking caliper swinging in my face, making me all uncomfortable.
My turn.
No, it was started. Give me it.
This started the first time.
Oh, my thumb's stuck. Ah! I got them all. I got them all, baby. All right, where's the gun? Hand me the gun.
3 days later.
All right, guys, so our customer brought us some new ball joints, so we put in new ball joints. I went ahead and coated the inside of the control arms with an anti-rust corrosion paint because he got us new springs and a new belt to put on also. So we went ahead and did the ball joint on that side as well. We'll be able to put in new springs and a new belt. And then check this out. So Ansel sent us this awesome battery tester. It is the BST 600. It does a printout. It is very awesome. We're gonna show you that in a bit also. All right, guys, Rusty had finished up the long tubes. We have everything bolted down on this side. The dipstick is bolted back in. Plenty of clearance in there. Looking good. These things are beautiful. All right, let's see what we got on the other side. Did Rusty tighten all of this on the other side? I'm gonna say no. No, he didn't. Not completely tight. Look at that. All right, Rusty has some work to do to get up in there with his little nimbly fingers and tighten this one up. Got 3 or 4 bolt-ons to tighten up here. What do you say about that?
You should finish what you start.
Baldy line. That's what I'm saying.
You tighten them.
No, when we left off, I left you do it. Rusty's gonna tighten these bolts up here.
They're nuts.
Nuts up here. They're nuts. You know what's nuts? Your attitude, mister. And I'm not gonna stand for it. I'm gonna go over here and sit down.
And to get better access to these bottom bolts, I'm gonna remove this motor mount. It gives me a lot more room for my wrench travel right here. This is a real tight fit on this side here. Can't really get to the bolt very well, well, the nut rather. So what I did was, you see that one back there just barely peeking through, and I have this little contraption I made with the world's smallest ratchet and a crow's foot, and I've just been sneaking this up in here since I can't get a wrench on there. So I'm gonna keep doing this for what seems like forever and get it all tightened up. All right, we got them all tightened up. Except for the one way back in the back there on the top, which I'll have to get to once we put the car back down on the ground. I'll go ahead and bolt this mount back up.
So you got them all nice and tight? Got them all nice and tight up there. Looking good. I'm blued. I'ma die. I'm blued. I'm a blue exhaust bolt looking good. You know that song. You guys know that song. I'm blue, da ba dee ba ba die. Drives a blue Corvette and a blue little window in his big blue house with a blue. You know that song. You know that song. Nice. Nice. All right, guys, it's subframe time. She's cleaned up. She's ready to go. All right, we got our engine table lined up. Now we are close. We are close, and the engine mount is in the hole on this side, and we are super close on this side, and our engine mount is lined up. We're looking good. I would throw the engine mount bolts on and start.
I would definitely not do that.
Why?
That's last.
That's last. Job.
Yay.
You feel accomplished?
I feel weak.
Still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so we can go and lower it down.
Yeah.
And I can hit that with my big impact.
Like lower the engine table down?
Yeah, just give me, so it has no more room.
Cool. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. Ghost riding the engine table. It's a ghost. It's a ghost.
It's probably safest you operate that as short a time as possible.
Yeah, just back away. Let it do its thing. Back away. Ta-da! Now to get this subframe buttoned up. Now to the other side. Oh yeah. Hold on. All right, and we'll do the 4 in the back. All right, guys, so now I can show you a tool that every guy should have, every shop should have, and that is the Ansel BST600 Automotive Battery System Tester with printer. Why this is important is because when you go to sell a battery, or you let the customer know, or your wife or whoever's nagging you about their battery, you can print it out so you can say, hey, the battery's good, hey, the battery's bad, and so on and so forth. So what we have here is the Ansel tool, the little printer. This is very nice quality. I've even already dropped it when the lift table exploded because I was messing around. I'll show you that in a separate video. But this thing is very tough and durable, and then you'll go ahead and use the gator clips, clip it onto your negative. And just to show you how effective this is, if you clip it on and it's not a good connection, like you do just a little bit like that, it will say red clamp positive, contact is bad, please check. And it's gonna give you a little alert like that. If you do the same thing on the negative, it'll do the same thing, but what you wanna do is undo that and get a nice, good clamp on there. Just like that, and then it will go to this screen. And we are working on a 12-volt system today, not a 24. So you'll press the OK button here. And then you have a multitude of things you can check here, charging and various other things. But today I'm focusing on the battery tester. So you'll press OK again. And then you have all the different types of batteries. We just have a regular battery. And we're gonna go by cold cranking amps. And you'll find on the battery, cold cranking amps, not cranking amps, but cold cranking amps, 550. So you'll go to your cold cranking amps, your 550. It's going to run its test, and boom, this battery is great. It's 90% health, 77% charge, 521 cold cranking amps, and it's doing very good. So then we're going to hit OK again, and yes, we want to print that out. And this is the last 4 of the VIN because I was already playing with it. So, which is cool because then you can save this with the customer file and you know what vehicle it belongs to in case you print a couple out through the day. And we're gonna accept those numbers and watch this bad boy print out. And that is neat. And now I can give that to my secretary and they can put it with the courtesy check in the customer file. Not only does this show that we did our job, we tested the battery, our courtesy checks are legitimate, but we have proof of it in case, you know, the vehicle would leave today and the battery would die later. We'd be like, oh, well, it was good. And then we can say maybe there was a problem on something else because the battery was good. So tons of good reasons to have this. We really like it. And I'll put the link down below. So hopefully you guys can use this as well. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with us. The loud noises, the coughing, you know, our voice is not sounding perfect. We've been sicker than hell with pneumonia and bronchitis, and I was actually admitted into the ER. But we got this far with the Mustang. We hope you like this content. We hope you're looking forward to the finale of this Mustang where we get to rip it down the road. So if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up.
Share with your friends.
And subscribe. But most importantly, leave a comment about my sick friend Rusty in the comments.
Testing, Mustang, day 300. I feel like shit. Testing. All right, Anthony, since that's in there, just delete that entire part about me even messing with it because it's pointless.
Did you turn this on?
Yeah. I even watched the thing come on.
What the fuck is going on? Let's see how we are. Caca! Rusty.
Caca.
More than that.
Caca.
All right, Rusty has his safety glasses on. Back to work. Whew. Day 72, 972 hours into the Mustang. but I'm feeling better.